Hi, my name is Zhouhang Li. I'm from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And today I'll be talking about our work, AdvPulse, universal, synchronization-free, and targeted audio adversarial attacks via sub-second perturbations. This is a joint work with my colleague Yi, my advisor Professor Liu, and Professor Chen and Professor Yuan from Rutgers University. So as an emerging way of human-machine interaction, intelligent audio systems are becoming increasingly popular in recent years. And nowadays, various applications can be seen in our daily lives. So for instance, people can talk to their smartphone or smart speakers to set an alarm, inquire personal schedules, and control smart home appliances. And mobile banking exploits remote voice authentication to quickly verify users and also prevent fraud. Drivers can also operate their cars and access their functions simply through voice commands. Many types of information can be extracted from a speech signal. And in the context of intelligent audio systems, the most important and most commonly used two tasks are speaker recognition, which aims at identifying the speaker of the given utterance, and secondly, speech recognition, which seeks to recognize the speech content. At its core, intelligent audio systems are powered by deep learning models. However, models like deep neural networks has been shown to be vulnerable to various types of attacks. And the particular type of vulnerability that we're interested in this talk is adversarial attack. Adversarial attack is where the adversary intentionally modifies the input sample, and typically by adding a small perturbation to form what's called an adversarial example. And this type of changes are usually imperceptible to human, but are able to deceive DNA model, causing it to yield false prediction. Most existing methods of launching adversarial attacks against intelligent audio systems are based on three strong assumptions. First of all, most existing studies assume that the adversary has the capability to modify the entire audio input. And secondly, it is required that the perturbation has to be strictly synchronized with the audio input. Even a slight misalignment will result in a failure of the attack. And lastly, it is usually assumed that the audio input is already known to the attacker, so that he can design the adversarial perturbation accordingly. And limited by these requirements, existing work can only be deployed in static speech scenarios. In this scenario, the attacker first crafts the adversarial example according to a pre-recorded speech, and then play the prefabricated audio from a nearby loudspeaker to launch the attack. And differently, in this work, we consider a more practical and challenging scenario, namely the streaming speech scenario, where the intelligent audio system takes streaming audio inputs, such as live human speech, and the attacker can deceive the system by playing adversarial perturbation simultaneously. This change in attack behavior brings two major challenges. First, the adversary cannot anticipate what the victim will say, and therefore cannot utilize that to train the perturbation. And secondly, the adversary cannot control when the victim will speak, which means that synchronization cannot be guaranteed. The overall workflow of the proposed attack is as follows. First, instead of modifying the entire audio input, we only add a very short perturbation. And second, we do not require synchronization between the audio input and the adversarial perturbation. And third, instead of crafting adversarial perturbation for each specific input, we generate input agnostic universal perturbation that can work with arbitrary audio input. And different from existing studies, the proposed attack enables what's called man-in-the-middle attack on intelligent audio systems, where an adversary alters the user's streaming speech on the fly. And this opens up many human-involved attack scenarios that are previously infeasible. A few examples would be systems that require the user to be present to enable its voice interface, or systems that involves interactive audio inputs, such as interactive voice response systems used for telephone banking, or scenarios that requires to actively alter the recognition results of the victim's speech. So for instance, an adversary who wants to make vehicles to do the opposite as the driver's comments. And the attacker's goal is to find an optimal adversarial perturbation that can be recognized as the target label. Existing work has shown that this can be done by solving a constraint optimization problem. However, to achieve attack in streaming speech scenario, perturbation needs to have more properties. And first of all, we want the perturbation to be short, as shorter perturbations can provide larger synchronization freedom and also sounds less suspicious. And second, the perturbation needs to remain effective in various unsynchronized conditions. And to achieve this, we modify the optimization goal by introducing a random time delay into the optimization process. And through this process, the adversarial perturbation will learn to produce a generic acoustic feature characterizing the target class to fool the model regardless of timing conditions. And third, in the practical streaming speech attack scenario, prior knowledge on the audio input is usually inaccessible. And therefore, we need to find a universal perturbation that can fool the model to recognize arbitrary audio input as a target label with a high probability. We achieve this by training over a set of data samples drawn from the desired distribution. And then we use a bandpass filter, a room impulse response, and noise dataset to mitigate the effect of the heavy distortions introduced by physical playback. And finally, to further make the attack less suspicious, we tailor the generated adversarial perturbation according to environmental sounds to hide the attack. And this allows the adversary to craft adversarial examples that sounds like any situational sounds that would normally appear in that environment. We evaluated our attack on two white box models, a speaker recognition model and a speech command recognition model, and both trained for recognizing 10 classes. Here's the results of digital attacks. Each cell represents the attack success rate of making audios from one class to be recognized as an other. And overall, we were able to achieve an average attack success rate of over 90% in the digital settings. We then evaluated our physical attack in two indoor scenarios, the office and the apartment, and one in-vehicle scenario. So for each scenario, we play the trained perturbation with arbitrary audio input and delay for multiple times. And our attack achieves overall 89% success rate in indoor settings. And for the in-vehicle setting, we also have a high attack success rate when the engine is turned off or idling. And even when the vehicle is cruising with a loud wind noise and also a loud road noise, our attack can still achieve a relatively high attack success rate. And finally, to test on live speech, we implemented the speech command recognition model on an Android phone and asked 4 participants to speak into the smartphone while the adversarial perturbation is played from a nearby laptop or a loudspeaker. And benefiting from the synchronization-free and audio-agnostic adversarial perturbation optimization process, our attack managed to reach an average accuracy of 98%, which have demonstrated the effectiveness of the proposed attack against the streaming audio inputs. And in conclusion, in this work, we proposed a practical adversarial attack against intelligent audio systems in the scenario where the system takes streaming audio inputs. And we successfully enabled the man-in-the-middle attack using the proposed universal and synchronization-free perturbation. For more information, including audio and video demos, please refer to our project homepage. And thank you for listening.